A very good afternoon to our viewers and welcome to the 1873 TV. Your vision, your power. Your vision on the issues that matter and your power to inspire new thinking, new outcomes and new possibilities. My name is Tinashe Mpasere. This afternoon on the 1873 TV, we bring to you yet another exciting conversation around the acquisition of SMM Unpacked Part 2 with Mutungwa Mawere. And this afternoon, I'll be joined by Mr. Mawere himself to better unpack the aspect of this acquisition of Shabane Mashaba Mines. The question that we posed out earlier pertaining to the conversation that we're having is whether the acquisition of SMM was financed with the assistance of a government guarantee. So to viewers out there, join us in the conversation by commenting on the Zimbabwe Today Facebook Live, where we are live streaming at this very moment, as well as the 1873 FM Facebook Live streaming page. Mr. Mawere, a very good afternoon and welcome to the 1873.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good afternoon to the viewers.
Yesterday we started on the acquisition of a special broadcast on conversation on the acquisition of Shabane Mashaba Mines, where we got to learn of how you managed to acquire Shabane Mashaba Mines through the documents and the facts that you provided, and clarified quite a number of issues, and also dismissing the notions that have often been narrated in many circles where conversations take place as far as the acquisition of Shabane Mashaba Mines is concerned. And this afternoon, we continue with where we left off from, so that we as individuals who are very much interested in knowing what actually transpired, considering the loss of jobs, the individuals that happen to be living in abject poverty in the community of Shabane is concerned. And so to help us also in unpacking these issues, we've got articles that have been availed for us for the benefit of being guided and also having facts at our disposal, which you are able to also access on the 1873 FM Facebook page, or you can just simply follow us on that Facebook page so that you can be able to access these documents. A link will later be shared for you to also avail this, to get these documents. So I could start by looking at the first document that we have, which is basically an extract from the Herald newspaper of Tuesday, 7 September 2004. And the headline itself states, "State takes over Mawere's firms."
Okay.
Yes. So the Herald reporter, government yesterday took over the running of troubled house Shabane Mashaba Mines holdings to prevent its collapse and save thousands of jobs. I just want to stop there, Mr. Mawere, because the first thing that actually also catches my attention is the fact that taking over the running of troubled.
Yeah, you can see that it was a Tuesday, which means the takeover was on Monday.
Yes.
So it was after a weekend.
It was after a weekend.
Yeah. So the weekend they are plotting. This is a command approach to commerce. It's like invading. When you wake up in the morning, you are director of SMM. You are now told, by virtue of this letter, you are no longer a director. Instead, the government, by a law passed on Friday, not even a law, a decree, given life on the 3rd, and you have no time even to question. Somebody comes and says, "It's now my farm. It's now my house." You don't even know the person.
Sorry, Mr. Mawere, I just want to hold you there. I just want to understand whether the courts operate even on a weekend.
The courts were not involved. This is a decree.
Yes.
Passed by the executive. Not what Dr. Moyo was talking about, rule of law. This is not rule of law. It's called rule by law. You put a law for the purpose of achieving an ulterior end. Whereas the general principle is that laws must apply generally for everybody.
And should not be targeted to a specific individual.
Yeah. So on Friday, the then Minister of Justice or Injustice, was busy, and the printers were busy, producing a decree without Parliament knowing, without any judicial oversight. And in terms of this decree, the minister was clothed with powers to divest the control and management of a company without any reference to any courts, without affording the shareholder, the directors of the company concerned, any opportunity to make representations. There is no constitutional provision that permitted this kind of mob rule or what you can call corporate violence. So by virtue of the law, facts and circumstances were created where somebody says you owes me money, does not have to prove that you owe money. You don't have to go to any court. That becomes the law. That's why they say take over. It doesn't. This is effectively raiding the control and administration of a company. So you can check. This is 2004. This was the day after this.
The day after the takeover, basically.
They call it coup d'etat. Except the person who is committing the coup is actually a person who is a public office bearer.
Who should be otherwise protecting that particular individual whom the company is being taken over from.
That's right.
Interesting. And what also troubles me, Mr. Mawere, is the fact that it stated the company itself was troubled.
Troubled in the head. Because if a company is troubled, the companies act. That's why they call it a company.
Yes.
You don't pass a decree in respect of the affairs of a company. A troubled company will suffer the consequences of its mischief. A troubled car would get into an accident. But this car was prevented from going into an accident. Somebody says, I have reason to believe that you go into an accident before it occurs. And this is not a Sangoma. This is a person who purposed to be Minister of Justice of a country that came from colonialism. And he's saying he's carrying a national interest. And that character is still in government. And fortunately, Dr. Mori doesn't even know. He says, I don't care. It doesn't affect me. But I want to be president.
And that actually worries me and bothers me very much, that an individual who wants to be a president, who is stating that he wants to be able to turn around the fortunes of the economy, and actually clearly states that Zimbabwe is endowed with mineral resources, and this is actually one of the biggest mining houses.
He comes from Berengwa, which is a stone throw from the mines. He's not worried about the loss of jobs since 2004. It is not worried about this coup d'etat. He's not worried about the state of mind of anyone who will be Minister of Justice and is confronted with this law. And he says, that is okay. This is personal. How can a law be personal?
And more importantly, okay, the first thing is the aspect of law being personal, which is a fundamental or critical.
I don't want to discuss personal things, but I'm so agitated to be a president of which country, of which people. Restoring which jobs?
Well, listeners, if you are tuned in, and viewers, if you are tuned in, we would love to hear from you what you think of this conversation we are having. And if you had the opportunity to be tuned in earlier and you had listened to the conversation with Dr. Ngosana Moyo, your comments, your remarks are very much welcome. And we continue looking at the acquisition of Shabane Mashaba Mines. This is a special conversation that we're having with Mutungwa Mawere. And I think on Skype we are now joined by Mushana Muref as well.
This is a special. Hello, sorry about that.
Mushana, a very good afternoon and welcome to the 1873 TV.
Good afternoon to you too.
Yes. So we have documents that we are actually also sharing on the 1873 FM Facebook page. That you can also go through with us as we have this conversation. And the first document that we are looking at is an extract from the Herald of the 7th of September 2004, and the day was a Tuesday. So we are now looking at the second paragraph of this article, and it states that the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Comrade Patrick Chinamasa, appointed Mr. Afras Gwaradzimba to be the administrator of SMM Holdings, and Mr. Forbes Magumbati and Mr. Robert Kaisi, assistant administrators for Shabane Mine and Guts Mine, respectively.
Imagine, in respect of the affairs of a company, the Minister of Justice issues an order of a limiting nature that limits your rights as a director, that limits your rights as a shareholder, not the court. Whereas the Companies Act is very clear what should happen when a company fails to pay its debts. There is no confusion there. And any Minister of Justice, even an elementary who studied at a Bush Law School, would soon realize that that law is complete. It applies to all companies. Now you have a new law, not even a law, an order that actually does not have a provision for the courts to make that pronouncement, just to determine whether the company is unable to pay its debts. Because first you must determine the existence of this debtor-creditor relationship. Then second, you must determine the quantum. Then you must then issue the order after representations are made before an independent tribunal. This is shrugged aside, and the Minister of Injustice takes control. And this becomes the order of the day.
Right. So I have an interest, well, it's quite interesting what you're saying, but I've got a few questions there.
Okay.
The first, let's address or let's review the powers in which this minister was using. Is it within his remit, or does the law in Zimbabwe at that time, did it allow that the minister can use certain powers to establish that act?
No, he was using.
So, are you saying he did that illegally? There was no provision for him to do that.
He was using the presidential powers.
So the question was he using apparatus within his reach that were legal to establish that law?
No.
Before we even look at whether or not the law was bad,
No.
was he doing this in the correct legal context?
No, it's a wrong legal context, because the separation of powers is a fundamental tenet of the rule of law.
No, that's fine. I understand that, but
It's
I'm
not
saying
fine
this is
if-
why I say according to the constitution, according to the laws of Zimbabwe.
The laws
Did
are,
he act within or outside?
I'm saying is the moment the laws offend those constitutional principles are invalid. Ab initio.
Yeah, no. I understand that. my question, because this is very important.
Okay.
To be able to separate issues. Okay. So my question first and foremost is, did he act within the law?
No.
Now we will look at that law and say, was the law valid or not?
I'm saying the law does not permit a member of the executive to act in the manner he did.
Which is to create an act.
No, this is not. The facts of SMM do not relate to an act of parliament.
No, we are not yet talking about the facts of SMM.
I'm saying it was.
We are talking about the instrument he used.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what
trying
I'm saying
to establish whether or not it was legal or illegal.
I'm saying that was a Friday. It was a decree, a promulgation of a statutory instrument.
Is there a requirement that the promulgation of a statutory requirement has to take X amount of days?
No, I'm saying is the promulgation itself, it has to be in conformity and consistent with the Constitution. And
I agree with you, but I'm saying we need to establish this point fact. I agree with you there, right? But before we address that, I am saying, so here's an example. You've got a police officer who will just take anyone he feels like, and throw that person into jail for 48 hours, right? And I am saying, before we look at what he's saying this person did, does the police officer have the power, or does
the police officer
a legal precedent
under the
for him?
Under the Criminal Procedure and Evidence Act, that power is delegated to the police.
Right. So that's what I'm trying to establish.
Yeah, the power.
So I'm saying,
for the minister,
under the current laws,
minister has no power to arrest. Period.
Right. I hear you there, Mutuma. What I'm saying is, given that example, we have established that actually, you know what, there is a provision through the Criminal Procedure and Evidence Act that can allow a police officer or a peace officer to take someone and put someone in custody for 48 hours.
That's right.
It's there. So my question to you is there such a provision in Zimbabwe that a minister of justice?
I've said no, and I don't know how to take it further.
Okay. So if you say there isn't, then that means we are now talking about
illegality. Illegality, criminality by a minister.
Right. So how is the presidential powers, the executive powers administered?
Yeah, that's what we can then. I think we can deal with it. All I was saying is that in this case, in respect of SMM, that's why we're trying to get the tempo, the mood in 2004. Because today is 2017. That's why Tinashe was taking us through the article so that we can get the facts. Then we can then debate based on those facts, and then we just take note of what the facts are.
Yeah, so it was important for us to establish earlier on the onset that this is illegal because you have said there was no such provision.
In fact, the president has no powers anyway to issue any instrument that is not consistent with the values of the Constitution. Because one would have to overcome the limits imposed on him.
So those are two things. First, does he have the power to issue instruments? And then secondly, you're now looking at how those instruments align with the Constitution.
Yeah, that's right. So what you're saying is, let's just sketch what happened. There are three characters who were appointed. On Friday, is it the 3rd of September? That's when the regulations were promulgated. Then on the 6th of September, which is a Monday, these characters were appointed, which means they were identified over the weekend.
Yeah, it might also mean that this was done way before that, but only executed.
I'm saying in terms of legal life, all we are saying is these are the facts. And what happened outside the facts, there may be conspiracies, there may be secret meetings, there may be smoking guy, what is Mbanje, whatever.
A smoking bunch.
Yeah, there may be, anything is happening outside our purview.
So the Reconstruction Act was enforced, it was established on those days you are talking about?
No, this is not act, this is a decree.
Is that the term that is used?
That's right.
Or the
It's
use
a promulgation. The president said there's a state of emergency. If I don't act, the country will be in chaos. Then, under those limited powers, then he says the affairs of SMM are so dire and Mawere is so important that we need to fix him. Those are the circumstances. It's a state of emergency.
You are mixing things there, and now I can't follow properly because state of emergency is different.
The powers of the president are conferred on him to deal with emergencies only. Otherwise, the law will take its own course. There will be a bill before Parliament. It will be debated, and then it will be enacted in law, and then the president will assent to that. But in this case, the president says bypass everything. I will use pen and paper. Just put the law, I sign it. And just as law, not in the sense of a law. But that is a temporary powers.
Yes, I agree with you.
That's right. So these temporary powers, the minister forgot even to make provision for the judiciary, not forget, but mischievously forgot. So that you don't have recourse. When you go to the court says, but this decree does not have a provision for us to be involved in.
Yeah, so is that illegal or legal?
When you have the rule of law, that would be the first test of dictatorship, of draconian measures. Because what you are effectively saying is the role of the courts is suspended by the president.
Yeah, but this is allowed. Our constitution allows that.
No,
this is why I gave you that example of the 48-hour detention period.
Not
when you are saying, but listen, how can you give police such power that they can just take someone, even without anything? They are allowed, they are afforded time to hold that person,
no, they must be reasonable.
Deprive that person of their freedom.
No, there's case law on that. They must be reasonable. I can't just wake up in the morning and pick Mushana without...
Yeah, that happens.
No, I'm saying is there is a test of reasonableness.
No, they don't. They're not obliged to.
No, they have to, because there is case law. That's what I'm saying. There's law on that.
So I think, Mushana, are you answered about the question that you had asked earlier so that we can move on?
Oh yeah, we can move on. I mean, he said it was illegal, so that's fine. We can move on. Okay.
So the two mines fall under the African Associated Mines, AA Mines, a subsidiary of SMM Holdings. Mr. Gwaradzimba is a senior accountant at AMA Global.
AMG.
Okay, AMG. While Mr. Mugumbati and Mr. Kaisi are geologists with the Ministry of Mines and Mining Development. Their appointments, which were announced in a notice in an extraordinary government gazette released yesterday, so this would have been released on Monday, were made in terms of the presidential powers, temporary measures, reconstruction of state indebted insolvent companies, regulations 2004, gazetted last Friday, meaning the 3rd.
So, Mr. Mawere, on that point, emergent powers and temporary powers, are you saying they're the same thing?
Yeah, it's the ancestry of those powers.
No, are they the same thing or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Under the regulations, the Minister of Justice appoints an administrator to steer the restructuring of state-indebted companies after issuing a reconstruction order for such firms following consultation with the Minister of Finance.
Yeah, okay. Unless you got a question.
Well, maybe my question was that under the regulations, the Minister of Justice appoints an administrator, right?
Yeah.
Following consultations with the Minister of Finance. Well, in this case, was the Minister of Finance then or consulted?
No, just imagine a judge does not have to consult the Minister of Finance, because there is no provision even in terms of the Companies Act. If I am a creditor and you fail to pay what is due to me, I have remedies in terms of the law. I don't have to manufacture a law or regulations to then over or supersede what already exists for everybody. Why would I need to consult the Minister of Finance? It's irrelevant.
The courts should be able to determine whether there is dispute or not.
In fact, the existence of this relationship has to be determined in terms of the court. If I owe you money and I fail to pay, why would you need to hide?
There's no need to hide at all.
And take a big pick and shovel, and you want to bury somebody.
So the article goes on to state that the appointments mean the administrators have assumed control and management of the companies to protect creditors and workers.
Imagine the law doesn't protect. The minister now protects creditors. And now there's a class of creditors. One being the state creditor, the other being the ordinary creditor. So there's already apartheid. The law now creates separate creditors in respect of a company.
One creditor is now more superior than the other creditor.
That's right.
Whereas they should all be equal.
Equal. That is the basis doctrine of equality. That we are all equal before the law. Natural persons, juristic persons.
Yeah, but let's not forget that they have created this instrument to use so that they can do this. So before they couldn't.
That's right.
That is the whole reason why this is happening.
I'm just saying that's why the discussion you had with Dr. Moyo, when you look at it, in fact you have summarized it eloquently, that actually I'm putting a law to achieve a certain purpose. I'm going to hunt so that I already carry salt because I know I'm going to catch.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is clear. It's the act of it happens in the animal kingdom, where some animals are more equal than others.
No, animals have laws. It's only that we tend not to understand them, but they have laws.
Yeah, but I can't see a mosquito going to an elephant and start dictating the law. So
Yeah,
I'm just a mosquito. And the guys who are doing this are armed with the people's power.
And also assist in the revitalization of the affected companies. The boards of the companies under reconstruction have been dissolved and they no longer have control of the companies.
So imagine you are told you are no longer the owner of the house.
That's normal practice. We saw this when you bought the company, isn't it?
No, that's not it. You saw the resolutions.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
So
not a
that's
normal
the same
practice that
process.
a minister would issue an order that has the effect of dissolution of something.
That's isn't it? You talked about carrying salt. So
No, I'm saying is the dissolution is a limiting order. It's not a positive order. It says you got car keys, but you can't get into that car anymore. And
what I'm trying to get at here, Tunga, is that when you took over the company, there were procedures in place. First order of business is to dissolve the old board, right?
Yeah.
This is common practice.
Mm-hmm.
Why? So that you can put in place a team that you can work with, isn't it?
I'm saying there must be consent by the party who has the power. So I give you the authority to act in respect of the company. But if But if there's
This
no
is now
authority,
through a reconstruction order.
you know, it's theft by law.
Well, yeah, but through a reconstruction order.
I'm saying
So
that
if it's theft, they're doing the theft is legal theft.
I'm saying theft is theft. I don't know whether theft can be. Consent is the fundamental principle.
This is what would qualify to be legal theft.
No, I'm saying I don't know where your construction comes in. If there's no consent,
if you put an act in place,
no,
that says I can. If I am a minister of justice or if I'm a president of a country, and then I put an act in place to say I can specifically, I can come and take things that belong to someone who meets the same, who fits the bill, like you yourself.
Yeah, imagine there's a woman, and you want to have sex with her.
Yes.
You go and pass a law, and says that sex is not illegal.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what is being said.
Yeah. So what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I'm saying is you are saying it's okay.
No, I'm saying according to the laws of that. Yeah. There are a lot of bad laws there. No, but you don't get arrested because what? They are recognized that it's legal. This is where we are going into this issue.
No, I'm just saying is rape is rape. It has no other description. You can't say there's a law that allowed me to rape a woman without her consent. Then you say
okay. So here's the question. We know that the government sets the legal age of majority.
Yeah.
If they say 16, right? That's fine. If you have sex with someone who's 16, 17, that's okay. In another country, if they say it's 18, yeah, you can't have sex with someone who's 16, 17. Because wait, let me finish. Because that's illegal in that country.
No, I'm saying it's illegal to speed your car. I mean,
no, but do you get my point?
No, I'm saying it doesn't change the fact. Rape is rape.
No, it changes the fact with how the law is.
I can't then say there's better rape because there's a law supporting it.
Yes,
consent is the principle.
The law does not have emotions.
No, but consent is the principle of law. We are saying if there's no consent, yeah.
The law knows no consent.
It is based on consent.
If it says you need a national ID in order to live in this country, if you don't have one,
I leave the country. Nobody can stop me from crossing the border. I don't have to abide by the laws that I feel are not just.
Yeah, so I agree with you.
Yeah. So
jurisdiction.
Yeah,
so what I'm saying
is consent. People have consent. They decide. That's why it's an innate power. I have the power to decide. If I don't, you can't say this is akin to the first order where there's consent. I go to the house, I agree, there's an offer to purchase, you agree. I register title, you sign the documents, everybody, you can't say you have stolen my house.
No.
But if somebody comes with a piece of, not a love letter from the Minister of Justice, with a letter that has the effect of getting you out of your own house on facts and circumstances that don't exist, that are created by law.
Yeah, so that's the part I'm talking about. Huh?
Okay, so I think
that are created by law.
Yeah, I think we need facts, because otherwise we end up having to debate principles of what? Of legality. If it is, then we have a session on the law. But first we want to establish the facts. And then once we establish the facts, then we look at the law.
I agreed.
Okay.
So the boards of the companies under reconstruction have been dissolved, and they no longer have control of the companies. Any persons managing or controlling the affairs of the companies in any capacity other than board members shall continue in office subject to the control and direction of the administrator. The administrators have the power to, subject to the rights of creditors of the companies, raise money in any way without the authority of shareholders for the purpose of the reconstruction of the company. Where government does not have 100% shareholding, it will appoint members of the board. SMM Holdings is a subsidiary of African Resources Limited, ARL, which is registered in the British Virgin Islands.
Yeah, Mr. Mtumu.
Yeah.
What do you understand by that last statement when it says where government does not have 100% shareholding, it will appoint members? What does that mean?
That is outside the four corners of the law.
No, yeah, but I mean, explain to us what that really means.
It means
practice.
it means in terms of the law it means nothing, because
No, I'm saying in terms of the operations, what does that mean?
I'm
What
saying
are they
is
saying?
what it means is that there is a fact that is created, because either you have shares or you don't. It's a fact. If I don't have shares, I can't say where I don't have 100%, when you know you don't have 100%.
That's fine, I understand that.
Yeah.
So I'm asking, I need to understand what that would actually empower them to do. What does that mean on the ground?
What I'm saying, that is what it means is exactly what they're saying, that we are creating where something, a hypothetical case, where I don't have shares, I'm still allowed to have rights. Where I don't have a car, I'm still allowed to have car keys.
Okay. So what you're saying, this allows them to automatically gain majority shareholding?
Without the law, the facts are not there, because if you have shares as government, it's common cause. If you have 50 plus 1, then you have control.
Yeah.
So it's neither, I can't say the grass is green when it's green. I can't make a provision and say where I don't have shares, then I must have rights that are not supported by what I don't have.
Right. So they're trying to align themselves with the Companies Act.
No, just trying to steal. It has nothing to do with the Companies Act. Has already been separated, suspended. You are taking a company outside the domain of a company and placing it in a no man's land where the courts are not involved. Parliament is not involved. It's like a thug coming with a gun into your house and say, give me the title deeds.
Right.
So you can't dignify absurdity, criminality in the name of government.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
So in 1996, ARL bought the assets of Tena and Newell in Zimbabwe and Zambia, which included AA Mines, Tena Holdings Limited, and Tube and Pipe Industries in Zimbabwe for $60 million US. It is understood that $37 million US was paid by 1998, leaving a balance of $23 million US. Shares will only be transferred on the payment of this outstanding balance. Government is expected to assume liability for the $23 million US as part of the restructuring.
So imagine you owe money to a bank, you bought a house, and the house was 1 million rand or dollars. You have paid 600,000. The balance is 400,000. Another guy, armed with these powers, created by men, goes out and says to the bank, I want to pay what this person owes. And you are saying the company is insolvent. And Mushana, you would know that an insolvent company is actually a legal term. It means your assets are less than your liabilities, which means you have negative worth. So what is there to buy if the company is already bankrupt? Yeah?
Well, nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. But these guys, for some reason, they're saying they are going to buy the residual claim of somebody. so that that person, we remove him. Then we stand in the shoes of that person. And this is your government, people you elect. And then suddenly become monsters under your watch. Then a presidential candidate says, no, it's irrelevant. Young, let me give you lectures. Is that the kind of Zimbabwe you want? Or the kind of Africa you want? Or the kind of future you want? Where this doesn't cause rebellion in your own head. To find somebody says, I'm a PhD, I'm a banker.
Yeah, but to be fair on him, right, he did say there was nothing specific there for him to go by.
Now, I'm saying if you have nothing specific,
when you're using generic, sentences, it's hard to.
No, it's not even hard, because if you tell me I am a servant of the people, I'm there to protect the weakest man in the chain. That's the one who needs the law. In the animal kingdom.
But what I'm saying is,
no, I'm saying is if I hear that,
if he were to comment on the proper application of the law, I'm sure he would not have agreed to
no, he
how
would
it
know
was
anyway,
used.
because I'm saying is that if somebody is raising fundamental issue about the rule of law and its limitations and what it can cause when it's absent, then somebody says, let me show you what I have, let me play a clip. And you are told, no, I don't want to, you tell me what I'm going to do for you going forward. I don't want to hear the Holocaust.
So what were you expecting him to do?
No, it means you are trying to change society from what it is. First, I must know what the patient is suffering from. I can't say I want to treat you. I don't even know what you're suffering from. Then somebody says, no, I've worked with you. Then I see you're okay. You are good enough to be a president. Who are you?
So can I ask you something? Is that act still in place at the moment?
It's in place as we speak. We're in court.
Okay.
I mean, you get the facts. So this is just...
Okay.
So this act is alive under the new...
And has it been used to any other company?
Oh, they just to try to camouflage it. They used it, I think, on 1 or 2. And some people, they paid some 4 million. You can Google the case law is there. And some people paid money for some claims owned by SMM. They paid some $4 million and above. And they went to court. They were told you don't have the power to sue without the authority of the administrator. So you can Google SMM, just see. So this is the Africa you left in going to England.
Yeah. Fix it, I'll come back.
No, you fix it, you're asking about voting. When we are in crisis, how many voters know that they are criminals in government? I got a friend in LAPD, you know what he said?
No, those are criminals as well.
He said the difference between a criminal and the LAPD is the badge.
Yeah, they're criminals.
Okay, so federal mogul of the United States acquired Tena and Noor after ARL had acquired the Zimbabwean and Zambian interests. The chairman of ARL is Mutuma Mawere, and it is understood there is no non-board running the company.
Oh, see? There's no non-board. Whose company is it?
Yeah, one man army.
No, I'm saying is if I sleep with my legs up, what's your problem?
Yeah, one man army. You are the general, you are the lieutenant, you are the corporal, you are everything.
So how does that trouble you?
No, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in a constitutional state. And then somebody says, my friend, I don't like the way you sleep. And he makes it a case and goes and have sleepless nights. And comes with the law to regulate me. And say, my way from now onwards, You must sleep on the left side. Then you expect this to be a serious enterprise called development. Huh?
Yeah, well, generally people don't like it.
Please, there's no generally stupidity. Stupidity must be specific, Mushana. This is
I
not,
know.
we are not
The problem
counting
is
peanuts.
people generally don't like the idea where they go
Not
to
people,
an army
some
camp
people.
and
Mushana,
they say, can I speak to the general? They talk to him to Mama Way. Right, I need to report you to the captain. They see him to Mama Way. Ah!
But what's your problem?
There's no one to report to.
No, I don't think Jesus had a deputy. Jesus came with no deputy. He was alone. He was given the sole mandate to build an enterprise, a global enterprise. I've never
That's
seen
why that's why it's a different thing.
Jesus had a board of directors. If you want, be a Muslim. If you don't want, be a Buddhist. I mean, it's a free. But don't try to convert me.
Wow, this is the result, isn't it?
No, it's not a result. Please don't excuse stupidity and you want to camouflage it as if it can come.
It's not. Look. We might be laughing about this. It's not stupidity. These are real things that happened.
No,
You are set there in South Africa. We are talking about it
in
now.
your name. Imagine you want to be a president and saying, I'm blindfolded. I'm just going to end up in State House. And you're just quiet. You think we are going to sleep.
Yeah, but
After this
what are
interview, you
they
think
doing?
I'm going to sleep?
What can he? What we need
I'm
to
going to
look
sleep.
at.
I'm going to fasten my seatbelt and say, shit, if there was a point where I must protest to this kind of buffoonery.
Yeah, but what do you expect him to do?
No, I'm saying, please stick to the order. Rule of law protects everybody.
Yeah, that's correct. But I'm saying, what powers does he have?
No,
He's
it's a
candidate.
power to talk. What power? I mean, a lot has been changed. Imagine in South Africa, they talk of state capture, state this. They're talking still. There's still nothing happened. But the people who know what they did, they already are running around from emails. Now, someone is saying the emails are false. Huh? There's a lot of jittery, sleepless nights. People talking. It's their country. It's not somebody's country. It's not a backyard. You want to be president, please be serious. There are many people who deserve better.
So, through the African Resources Limited, through the African Resources International Limited, Mawere is a shareholder in a number of companies. SMM, as at July 31, 2004, is exposed to the tune of 41.8 billion Zimbabwean dollars arising from bank facilities extended to the group companies and guaranteed by the holding company. Government has been exposed through loans by some of its arms to SMM in particular.
Imagine you expect, now the government is arms. That imagine you say, my father has got arms. Yeah? The debts to my son are the debts to me. Have you ever heard that?
Let me think.
Then Bill Gates'
Yes.
father, Bill Gates Sr., says, hey, who are you? I'm a billionaire. He says, oh, how did it come about? Oh, my son is a billionaire. I just consolidated yesterday.
Yeah.
Then you expect this kind of monkey business. Huh?
Well, it's happening.
No. I mean,
They're eating bananas.
So government has been exposed through loans by some of its arms to SMM, in particular
through its arms. Now the government has got arms, it's walking. Have you ever seen a picture of a government walking with arms and legs?
Well, what they mean there, just to be less pedantic, they're talking about, there's
no subsidiary in terms of the law, Mushana, you know that. You're in the UK, there's the common law. There's common sense. I can't say my son is me. And therefore I've now applied the law of what? Aggregation.
This is what even Dr. Nkosana was saying. We are using these terms loosely. We know what they mean.
What do they mean? Maybe he can educate us.
So, you know, when you talk about RBZ and ZESA, those are extensions of the government.
It's not an extension.
But I'm telling you what they are.
Okay.
You might look at it differently, but that's exactly what they are.
Mshana, I think we have covered one area. I think we can see the producer is also crying and Tinashe is also crying. Our time, there's Dr. Magaisa. I think you can ask Dr. Magaisa. He's a lawyer.
It's so unfortunate that we have run out of time, but it hasn't been an interesting...
I just want to just say before you go, you know, time is a human construct. How can we run out of it?
It's so unfortunate we've run out of time, Mushana, but we would have loved to continue with this conversation, but we will definitely continue from where we left off today, tomorrow. And to the viewers and listeners out there, thank you for making the 1873 FM your channel of choice. The 1873 TV, your vision, your power, your vision on issues that matter, and your power to inspire new thinking, new outcomes, and new possibilities. Mr. Mawere, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We do look forward to another insightful and informative show tomorrow afternoon. That's it from me, Tinashe Mpasiri, and the rest of the crew behind the scenes who ensure that this programming goes smoothly. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
Okay, thanks.